Jake is going to be up to his elbows in thorium grease. Vinod plays with sharp objects, and Dax did crazy rope stuff with a Hopi. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton. We're also joined by Malissa Longo, very special guest. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Season 2, Episode 15 of Deep Space Nine called Paradise. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah, doing all right. Doing all right. You got me stunned right there with the Solorian elbow grease or something like that. It was nowhere in my notes for this episode. So
Really?
I'm thinking, what is going on here?
You didn't notice? By the way, I've been doing something secretly for the last few weeks. I call it NAM. It's non-appearance mentions. And that's because we kind of talked about, you and I, we've spoken before that people should
Aaron, they talk about Nog, they talk about Aron Eisenberg all the time.
Yeah.
When he's not in episodes.
I think the five that I'm keeping track of lately is Nog, Rom, Keiko, Jake, and Molly. You know, later on it'll be Lita as well. And so this was a NAM for Cirroc, which brings his unofficial total up to 3. Nog has 2, Molly has 2. Keiko also got one, which is her 4th, because Miles is always going, Keiko, whatever, and Rom has 2. But anyway, so there was a mention at the beginning where Chief and Sisko are talking, and they were talking about you.
I remember that. And
then Chief says, I'll have him up to his elbows in thorium grease. Anyway, so that's in your future.
I guess so. He's taking a liking to me. So I think because that was last episode, I was honest with him most of the time. So,
but that was with the guy that wasn't even him anyway. So maybe it's like this subliminal thing that he just.
Yeah, maybe. But it actually, even the other guy still had some of his characteristics. Like he knew stuff that the real O'Brien would know. So
totally knew everything.
Yeah.
And we do want to mention that Melissa has joined us. It's a very special 50th episode for us. And we have a very special guest, Melissa, wearing her
the 50th.
Yeah, wearing her awesome Captain Nog Forever.
Captain Nog Forever. Awesome.
Yeah.
What did you think about the episode?
Of this episode?
Just any episode.
Any episode.
50th, anything goes, whatever you want.
Any one of the 50. Any one of the 50.
Well, no. I had a lot of thoughts about this episode. And as I was telling you before we started, this episode triggers me for many, many reasons. So
let's hear them all.
Yeah, no, we have to get to them because I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of stuff in this episode that's kind of like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And they touch on so many issues when they go through this episode. You start to say, okay, that's cool, and then you're like, well, that's not so cool.
And just before we do that, I do want to also mention that it only got a 6.8 on IMDb. So it's definitely one of the lower rated ones, but I thought it was really smart for all the reasons you guys are about to mention, I think right now. I was impressed with the writing. I think it just got low ratings because it wasn't super exciting. It wasn't serialized or like influence anything later on, but I thought it was really smart.
Yeah. And I also think that maybe because I was angry a lot of the time in this episode.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why there was a low rating, but it's a good episode because it made me angry. So if you look at it that way.
I don't start off angry, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I start off thinking, oh, wow, this is a cool thing. Like this is, it kind of, I wrote down like kind of like a hippie commune.
Right.
It was like, there's a lot of those in Northern California, people just kind of want to live off the grid and they choose to kind of have this kind of communal lifestyle of living. Right. And it's a common thing even today. It's not unusual. So in the beginning, I started to think, oh, that's what it is, right? It's like these people want to be off the grid and they want to grow their own foods and find medicines and cures for diseases by studying their environment.
By the way, it's not unusual. Is that Tom Jones, I think?
Yeah.
It is. Yes.
Okay.
It is Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
So that's what I got. I got like a lot of that, you know. So in the beginning, it really, my guard was down and I was trying to accept it for what it appeared to be, which was like this really cool lifestyle, right?
Right. And it would have been a cool lifestyle had everyone participating in that lifestyle had a choice to be there and participate in the lifestyle.
Right, with all the facts.
Exactly. Yeah, with all the facts. She essentially kidnapped a whole group of people and stranded them on an island or on a planet purposefully. I mean, how wrong is that? So wrong. And then punish them if they don't follow her ideals. So, and I think it's a smart look into how cults start. And also, it's also an interesting look into Stockholm Syndrome, I think. There's a little bit of that there too, because they end up defending her even though she betrayed them to get them to where they are. So
yeah, and we'll cover the end a little bit more later, but did you guys notice all the subtleties? I mean, the most obvious one though was the symbolism of the uniform. First thing she says is, "Why don't you take off that uniform?" You know, and then later on she says, "Oh, why don't you take off that uniform? It gets real hot in the fields." And then it's like, "Oh boy, you sure are hot. Why don't you get out of that uniform?" Another lady comes around and says, "Take off that uniform and I'll rub this oil all over your body."
Yeah.
The whole thing was very symbolic though, and we understand what that meant. That meant, you know, kick off your shoes and stay a while and get that Starfleet mentality out of you, because we're not letting you go.
Right.
Yeah, I did notice that. I thought it was one of the interesting, you know, things inside of the episode. There were so many nuggets in here that was really, you know, it was rich with symbolism and, you know, things that remind us of what's going on. But one of the things that I picked up was when they came and they reached this group of people, the first few questions that they had to ask. So one was about fashion, right? So what are the ladies wearing over there, right? She wanted to know. So she could...
Let's ask Malissa that too, by the way. I did have a question about that. When she said, what are the fashions like? And they said, oh, the dresses are longer lately. She said, oh, I'm going to have to alter all my dresses. So does that mean, so you can alter a dress to make it longer? I thought you can only alter it to make it like shorter or tighter.
Yeah, the only way to alter a dress to make it longer is add more fabric. And there's going to be a noticeable seam if you add more fabric. So there's not really a good way to make your dress longer unless you're...
Yeah.
You'd make Garrick very proud right now.
But it was funny because like that's like she wanted to know like what people were wearing. You know, I thought that was interesting that that's, you know, culturally, like if you've been in a time capsule and you wake up out of nowhere and you what would be the questions that you'd have to ask, right? The other one was about sports. Who won the game? You know, who
won the soccer game?
Yeah.
Okay, that was pretty generic. Who won the soccer game? What are you even talking about, dude? The one?
Well, but can you imagine though? But just think about it. Let's say like here comes the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Let's say some way that you're like kidnapped in another planet and you missed this Super Bowl, right? That you've been looking forward to and you want to know. And it's in your head. It's like the last thing that, you know, that you never really got to see.
And then 10 years later, I go, who won the Super Bowl? And they go, some expansion team. And I'm like, no, the one.
No, the Super Bowl from 2020. Yeah. The 49ers. Did the 49ers win? So it was kind of like, it was like that. And I almost sensed that those guys there were probably having a debate or argument about their two favorite teams and what the outcome was. So I thought that was funny. The sports question came up, the fashion question came up, and also the ships. So the other engineer that was on that planet, he was like, so what kind of ship was that you guys were flying, And O'Brien's like, yeah, they just invented those a few years ago, these runabouts.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool little thing that they inserted.
What kind of ship it was or what mission it was? Was it a colonial ship or what is it? I mean, were these people all just like families together so that they don't have anybody to miss back home? I mean, what was...
That's not what I got the impression of. It sounded like she planned this, researched this planet, saw that it was sustainable, saw that she was booked a journey on something, and figured.
Yeah, but so that ship was just like a travel ship to go somewhere or something?
It looked like that's what I got out of it. Was like it was a cruise ship. Like, hey guys, you want to go to Hawaii?
Yeah. Right. Because then it makes you wonder, don't they have like family back at home that they'd like to go see?
And that was the other part where it was like, how completely narcissistic to not even ask if, Miles has a wife. You don't know if he has a kid. You don't know if Benjamin has a kid or family at home. And you want to strand him here because you want to make a point about your own philosophy? I mean, come on. How selfish.
You're right.
Really selfish. Not even that, think of the families, no, let alone the technology. The technology is the least of the thing that comes into it. They have family at home, for all you know.
Poor Jake's can be up to his elbows in thorium grease. Somebody help him out.
Well, no, because Miles is with his dad. So
you're right.
I get to miss out on that. But no, there was the other thing that like jumped out at me is when she said, "Oh yeah, 2 able-bodied men are here. That's just what we need." And I was thinking, what are you trying to build? Like, what do you need? why couldn't all these guys together couldn't figure it out? You needed 2 more able-bodied men to do whatever it was that you're
able-bodied men, and then what do they have them do? Pulling weeds in the field, by the way. And then I did find it a little confusing when the guy was like to Chief, he's like, did he say to Chief or Sisko? But he says, wow, you've really got a knack for this. For pulling roots out of the ground. Boy, oh boy, you are.
You're good at massaging corn stalk.
I'm not touching that one.
But you know what I also liked? There was a moment there when Sisko was going back into that box, and he looked over at O'Brien like, "Don't you stop what I'm about to do. I know you got a problem with it, and I know what's your instinct, what you naturally want to do, but don't you do it. I have my own, game plan, and I'm going to stick to it. So don't stop what I'm about to do." Mm-hmm. And they gave him that look, right?
It was one of those that was the moment where I thought of you for sure, Cirroc, was because it was a very clear analogy or metaphor for like the silent protests. You know what I mean? Like the peaceful protest of like, is reminiscent of all, the American history of the last, 100 years. Also remind me very strongly of Gandhi and how he would have his fasting protests. But I'm sure you guys, when you saw that, it conjured up memories of a lot of things.
Yeah. No, it was a huge statement.
Yeah, that's what got me too, Melissa. It was the racial implications of slavery and what we've gone through it with Black people in America with slavery and then Jim Crow.
And putting them in a box, man.
And putting them in the box and lynchings and all of this mistreatment of like less than human treatment that we've received. And it was a complete flashback of that when I watched this episode. Mm-hmm. It was disturbing in that same kind of a way. Mm-hmm. And Sisko was courageous to try to make his point by fighting it, by showing how bad it is, by letting it being done to him. It's kind of like when the police dogs were attacking peaceful protesters. You got to see who the real aggressor was, who was the real violent person, right?
Right.
Who really wanted to destroy and cause havoc. It was the people that were beating him and dogs were biting them, not the guys who were there trying to eat or find a way for their rights and, peacefully protest. So that was one of the main things that hit home for me watching this episode.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it was a huge testament to his character too, in that no matter what she did to him, he made a promise to Starfleet and to his son not to give up going home. But the uniform became a symbol of that promise. And just because it got hard, he's not going to turn his back on it. He could have easily said, "Oh yeah, I'll put this clothes on, wink, wink, and then I'll drink the water." It's showed his character and what a strong human being he is.
And he kept that uniform on when he went back into that hot box too.
Yeah.
Hot box.
And also, as just an evolution of his perception, when he got there, he also was welcoming to the idea. So he didn't initially come in with this negative thought, looking down on them and their lifestyle. He was open to it. He actually started reading the journals and say, wow, this is really good stuff here. Her philosophy is deep. So he was trying to buy into what was being sold, right? He was giving it the benefit of the doubt until he realized who was in charge, right? It kind of reminded me of the book Animal Farm.
Yes, that was such a good book.
Right.
Read that in years. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're going to make these rules. And then the pigs start breaking the rules. And they're like, well, yeah, everybody except the pigs, right?
Right.
Yes.
So, and to me, it was like, yeah, we're all here. We're here equally. Everybody has to chip in, except I'm the boss and I make the rules and I decide who goes in the box and what the punishment is. And basically, right?
Right.
Kind of just sounds like everything always, right?
Right. Well, yeah. It's an ongoing thing that we fight against. And I wrote down freedom on here. And it's like, this is what freedom really means, right? Freedom is to have the information, all the information, and then to make the choice.
Right.
Right. And the choice not being made for you. And so that's what's so precious about being here in this country, and what's special about the idea of freedom is that
that's a good point. The lady Alexis, I believe was her name. She was acting as if she were a liberator, and she was bringing them freedom. In fact, she said kind of a rude thing to the guy at the end when she's like, "And Stephen, you would have been in jail for years if I didn't." That was such
that's right. You were a bum at work.
You belong in jail. Look what I did for you.
You're ugly. Nobody would have married you, and and like basically just like the worst.
She pooped on him.
Well, yeah, way to tear down your people, and you're not giving them to live up to their human potential because you took the right of choice away from them. So, I mean, they're part of that living up to that human integrity or human potential is letting people have that choice, and you can't control that choice for anyone. And it's really arrogant of her to think that she had all the answers for everyone else, and that these people in this community wouldn't have been capable enough of success without her, and without her trapping them on this planet. Right. I mean, come on.
And get
over yourself.
And that's like the combination of both of your points. The points are that she's acting like she's giving them all this freedom, but really she's taken away the very fundamental first freedom of everything, which is to choose, your freedom of choice. And so she wasn't a liberator. She was whatever.
An oppressor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also highlight her acting in this. I don't know the actress's name that played this Alexis character, but she was good to make me hate her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's probably a wonderful woman and, you know, a great actress.
Gail Strickland.
Gail Strickland. Shout out to Gail Strickland because I had a contempt for her by the end of this, right?
Yes.
I literally wanted to see somebody smash her with a rock. So,
or Aron.
Yeah. So she was doing great acting there. So let's just, and I think that as well, I wanted to say that Avery Brooks' performance in this was fantastic. It was just, I'm surprised it wasn't really rated higher because of his performance. I thought he sold a lot of different things. For example, his weariness and tiredness from working in the field. I bought that. The scene where he crawls back into the cage, I bought the intensity and the emotion in that moment. And I also bought his analysis of her and how he was, you know, going back and forth. Yeah, the psychoanalysis of her. There was a line that she said to him. She's like, "You'll get used to it." And he says, "Hopefully, I won't be here long enough, so I don't have to get used to it."
Right. That was already the little tug of war going on right there, where she's like, "Hey, you'll stay right." He's like, "Don't count on it."
Yeah.
No.
And I like that. I really like that. But they did also talk about concepts that are important to think about. One was, they said we had to abandon our dependence on technology, right? And we are so dependent on technology. Sometimes we you know, use it as a crutch.
There was something there for sure, yeah.
And there's a little bit of truth there, right, about our reliance on technology and, you know, how much
especially
we do it.
Considering this was 25 years ago. This is another one of those themes that we talk about where it's even more true and more accurate and relevant today than it was 25 years ago. We're going to go to a quick break in just a minute here. I also wanted to ask you guys what you thought of the structure of it, because we're always kind of talking about how it's an O'Brien episode or it's an Odo episode, but this one was a little different. They were often pairs. And real quick, a couple of the trivioids from the beginning. Vinod plays with sharp objects. That's when they introduced him. He said, "Oh, and the guy that plays with sharp objects is Vinod over here." And I don't know if you caught it, but Dax did some crazy rope stuff with the Hopi. She said, "Oh, I used to do some really weird. I used to do some really crazy rope stuff with a Hopi or something like that." We're like, the way she said it.
Oh yes, she implied something.
You caught that, right, Malissa?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I didn't catch it. I wish I caught that.
I was like,
man.
oh,
oh yes.
Oh man, I missed that reference right there.
All right. Well,
now this is okay. We'll pick it up on it.
We'll pick it up in like 5 seconds. We'll be right back with the seventh rule. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton, Malissa Longo. My name is Ryan T. Husk. We are doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 2, Episode 15, called Paradise. And we were talking about very quickly Dax's crazy rope tricks that she used to do with a Hopi guy. Actually, she didn't say guy. No, maybe she did later. But definitely in that first sentence, she just said a Hopi.
She did say a Hopi. She didn't specify what.
Now, what were the insinuations here?
Malissa, care to cover this one?
Well, you know, she alluded to there might have been an intimacy in that roping lesson.
Oh,
in that roping
that
lesson.
kind of roping.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, you know, you can say almost anything in a certain tone of voice that makes your ears perk up. You know what I mean? Like if she just said, "Oh, I learned a lot of rope stuff from a Hopi," say, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." But she said, "Oh, I learned a lot of rope stuff with a Hopi."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I like the scene with Kira and Dax in that close quarters inside that runabout. What I liked about it was when Kira jumps up and she's like, "I'm the commanding officer here."
Yeah.
banged on her like, I'm in charge right here. And
there was
Dax
a little battle there.
Yeah, but Dax held it well. I like the way she came back at her. It was really, she held her ground in a coy way. It wasn't so much over the top. She was just, she was like, really? Okay, well, do you want the right idea, or do you, or you just want to hold on to your pride,
It really shows how far they go, how far they've changed over 7 years, because when I saw that scene, I was like, oh, wow, I'm not used to seeing them fight. I'm used to seeing them as kind of like best friends and confidants and very respectful. And they were kind of, going at it a little bit. And I thought of Malissa, obviously, because I know this is two of your favorite characters in what I believe is your favorite series. What did you think of all that?
Yes, you are correct in both of those statements. But for this very reason, it's one of my favorites, is because it's a believable, honest scene of a power struggle. Kira is still trying to find her legs in this position that she's got, this rank that she has, because she's used to being the scrappy, resistance fighter. And you go out and you do hand-to-hand combat. You get in the field and do things. Dax is a scientist. She thinks things through. And so, of course, those two personalities are going to clash. And I think the reason Dax handled it so well is because she's a Trill and she has 300 years of experience behind her. So she has a little bit more wisdom to offer, Kira's gung-ho, I'm going to go and, jump on this runabout at warp speed, and brings her back down to Earth, so to speak, and say, let's think about this rationally first before we get anybody killed. So, and I think it's a wonderful scene for that reason, because they're both strong women and they both have great ideas, and neither of them is knocking the other one's intelligence. So
Dax did do a tiny little jab at the end, though. She says her whole rope trick thing, wink wink, and at the end she goes, unless, of course, as a ranking officer you have a better idea.
Of
Like, we'll do it your way.
But that's part of Dax's part of Dax's personality too. Sometimes she combats confrontation with humor, and a lot of times that's the only way somebody will hear it. So
I like the line that she had just before the one you said, Ryan, which is, I'm a science officer. It's my job to have better ideas.
Yes, sir.
I was like, oh, wow. I like that. She's tough.
Yeah, it's down too.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
There was a little bit more special effects in this episode than we usually get.
Like two.
like two. And that was essentially the big one, was where they lasso the other ship in warp, right? And so that was, and it's funny because when you see that compared to how the new special effects looks for the new series, Discovery and Picard, and you see how much better it's gotten, right? How much better the capabilities are. But it was still pretty decent. I mean, I still got the feel for it. They got it across. Yeah, it was good for its time.
Yeah, it doesn't take me out of the story at all, which is, I think, what special effects should do. I think nowadays we rely too much on special effects and, bells and whistles, and forget the story. And that's why I like Deep Space Nine so much too, is because there's such rich stories told all the time, and that ask questions and make you angry, and it involves you, it draws you into what's actually happening, and I think that makes us more empathetic rather than, oh, look, there's another lens flare. Like, it's, you can only take, special effects so far before you're like, okay, so where's the substance? Where's the guts of this story? Why do you want me to invest myself in this tale? Because it's not because of the spaceships and the lens flares or whatever special effects. So the special effects should enhance the story, not be the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You used the right word, I think, substance. That's what we're looking for, because sometimes we do get kind of lost in all that without, a lot of newer stuff does that, and I did see a funny meme that it was kind of a troll meme that said, lens flare is canon. So I just thought that was obviously trying to start some trouble there, whoever posted that, but it was still funny. It made me laugh. I do also want to point out that Anne-Marie, our resident Seventh Rule doctor, mentioned another thing recently. She said that the lady that played Cassandra, who was the seductress, the lubing seductress, or the lotion lady, she was originally up for the role of Tasha Yar. And I had no idea. So just now I just checked, I just Googled it, and it is confirmed she was initially up for that role. So when I was watching her scenes, I was trying to picture her as Tasha Yar, and then I kind of was bummed out. She's only in like 2 scenes. So she didn't get much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she did have a powerful presence, because I did notice her, and she stood out. Mm-hmm. I think I started with about the fashion question. She was the one that was asking about the women's dresses.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So she had an impact on this whole story. I don't know why Sisko was so reluctant to get that massage, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well,
tell us more.
My mind went somewhere else, and I was like, "This is sexual." She's sexually harassing him because he told her no, and she didn't like the answer, so she went further. And I was like, hello, consent goes both ways. So if he does not into it, then he's not into it.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a way he worded it. Go ahead, Strog. I'm looking for it, but there was a way he worded it kind of cracked me up.
Oh, I'll let you get to that, because I wanted to talk about when O'Brien knocked out the other engineer. I like that little scene right there. He's like, "Do me a favor, let me knock you out, man."
Oh, that's what it was. Just real quick, she just said, when she squirts the lotion on her hands and rubs her hands. She goes, "Would you like me to massage you with it?" And he goes, "I don't think so. Thanks, anyway." He said it down so hard.
That was a shutdown. It was a major shutdown. Bashir would have had all his clothes off in the bed.
He would have squirt her hands around, and he's already naked. Like, whoa, dude! How'd you do that so fast? He's like,
so would have.
That's all right. I brought my own lotion.
Care to join?
He'd be over there locking the door. I guess you can't. I guess you can't leave now.
She'd go running, and she'd be like, "Man, the tables turned so fast on me."
Yeah.
Can we go in the box?
Yeah. That's why they couldn't have Bashir in this episode. He would have been like, "So which one of you ladies is single?" That's the first question.
I didn't want to ask you about that, about the people that weren't there. There was no Quark, there was no Julian, there was no Odo. Yeah. We're usually talking about how it's a Sisko episode or a Dax episode or whatever. This was just 2 pairs. So we got to kind of sink our teeth into individual characters as well as pairs, duos. So we got Sisko and O'Brien working together and really kind of showing their skills, what they're good at individually and together. And we also saw the same with Kira and Dax. And I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of that kind of writing structure with just the 4 characters.
Yeah, I didn't mind it because the story was told well. So it didn't feel like I was missing them because I already knew they were, going their day-to-day life on Deep Space Nine. So they alluded to their lives back home. So
right.
everybody who lives on the space station is there. So it didn't bother me at all.
No, yeah, especially because it was an off-planet episode.
Right.
If the episode happened on DS9, you would say, "Hey, where's Quark? Where's Odo?"
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But because it was off-planet and they were on this little expedition, it felt totally natural. There was nothing that didn't feel right about their storyline. I didn't find any holes in it. I mean, even with the electromagnetic frequency shutting down all their gadgets and him finding the pulsating device that was doing it, like there wasn't a part where I would say, "Oh, well, that's not believable."
Right.
Can we just say, speaking of that duonetic field, the source of that, when Chief found it, it was buried 1 inch. I was a little like, all right, come on, guys. He's like, all right, time to start digging. Oh, what luck. Here it is with flashing lights.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was pretty genius, the thing that he made.
Oh, the compass. Yes, that was so cool. I loved it.
It wasn't so far-fetched for me, and especially if it needed to be so accessible to the two people that did know it existed. And
and you know what?
When he made
that, it actually looked like a Native American or like an African ingenuity, right?
Yeah.
So I like that, and actually goes back to what we said earlier, which was about relying and dependence on technology. So,
and I think,
right?
Yeah,
it's like it's old technology.
Yeah, but I think there's a balance. You know, there's a reason the technology exists, because we have to keep moving forward. We have to evolve. And if we go backwards to a time that is primitive, then we're not growing. So, I mean, you have to remember where you came from to see where it leads you, and learn the lessons that you took from the past to guide you to the future. But, you know, so there's got to be a balance. You can't just, I don't know. You can't just abandon one or the other. It all works hand in hand, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just a final note on that duonetic field, when he found it, and then when she found it, and then Legolas comes after him with his bow and arrow.
My gosh.
Whatever. Or whatever his name. And then O'Brien says the funniest line. He goes, "Well, at least you got one of us out of our uniforms."
I know. Yeah, he was ready to murder O'Brien to keep the secret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think his name was the Minnow. I think his name was Minnow or Vino.
Vinod was the son.
The son.
Was that the son? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the son was the archer, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Robin Hood.
Vinod was Legolas, yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was like a young Lou Ferrigno, kind of, but thinner.
I liked when the engineer that was, opposite O'Brien. First of all, I liked when O'Brien said, "I have to knock you out, right? You're gonna tell on me, aren't you, right?"
Brilliant. He says, "I can do it so that it won't hurt at all." And he's like, "Fine, go ahead."
Why don't you go
say it the way Dax says the rope thing? Then we're okay.
So I like the way he did that. But when they first met, that same guy O'Brien knocks out says, "I used to be the engineer on the Santa Maria."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, that's funny. Where was the Nina and the Pinta?
Cirroc.
That's all I got. That's it. That's all I got.
Sorry, that's all I got.
Sorry about that.
I like how I say like 20 terrible jokes, and then Cirroc says one bad one, and we jump on him about it. We jump on it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny because Sisko had a line in there. He says, "The boy seems to grow a centimeter each week." And it must have been the time when I was starting to have my growth spurt too. They were like, "We got to write this in, so explain it to everybody."
Totally. He could make a line like, "Garrick sees him every week."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you do grow really quickly, especially in the first couple seasons.
I did, yeah. Who else there was? There was a line in there. She said, perhaps a lie can lead us to a more important truth. And I wrote that down, and I don't know why it resonated with me, but she did say, she said, perhaps a lie can lead us to a more important truth.
What was she saying that in reference to? I don't remember that line. What was the scene?
Well, it was. Oh, sorry. No, it was the end where the community had learned that she had stranded them there.
So it was on
purpose. Yeah.
Got it.
On purpose.
I wasn't sure if it was like something she said at the beginning of the scene that makes us go, oh, that's how she thinks about this. But she was actually saying it about the situation.
Well,
were any of you surprised that nobody else wanted to leave, though?
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up, that not just that, but that the engineer somehow thinks that he speaks for everybody. When they say, okay, you've got a chance to go. He's like, nah, we're all going to stay here. And like, who the fuck is this guy?
That's why I was like, it's got to be some form of Stockholm Syndrome, because the one person that took the choice away from everyone else is being punished for what she did, and now suddenly this guy,
here comes the next one.
He's like, we're fine. You guys go ahead. We're staying here, right, guys?
Yeah.
Nobody talk. Nobody decide. It's decided. Everybody stays.
Yeah. Essentially,
No, I thought they would at least have a vote. At least like, all right, those of you that want to leave, stand over there, and those of you that want to stay right here.
Or we'll have a brief discussion period.
Something.
Right.
Something. I know I'd want to get out of there, especially after, at the very least, the guy who was in the box before Sisko got in there.
Have a nice shower. Yeah.
But he already she already made him feel as shitty as possible leading up to that. So I think it has.
Yeah, he was brainwashed by that time, right? Is that what you said?
Did you hear her singing a tune when it showed that thief was in there? She was like, "It's a thief in a box." No, maybe not.
Oh wow!
that was the best wow we've heard in a while. There.
It's a thief in a box. Wow!
Yeah, but I liked
That's what you're going with.
The last scene. Trying to move on.
Oh, the last scene.
The last
Melissa's
moment.
trying to save us here.
Thank you, Melissa.
No, I thought the last moment was very poignant, where the two kids stopped and said,
right,
wait a minute, maybe I don't want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
What else is out there? There's got to be more.
And they're looking at that, what they're probably realizing is some kind of barbarism, where they're just like, geez, maybe I don't want to, go in a box every time I want to steal grandma's candles or whatever, because they're young kids and they've been there for 10 years, which means they were born on that planet. They've never seen anything else. Yeah,
never seen anything else. And then they're like, oh, these two people just disappeared from outer space. They came on a spaceship? That's incredible. I want to see what that looks like.
And the other thing was the medicine was the central theme to the episode, right? That people were dying of illness, and that medical technology could help them, right? So they're depriving themselves of the cures of different things, right? So that was part of what Alexis was guilty of, was murder, essentially, by depriving these people of the opportunity to get medical attention.
Yeah.
There was another funny line by Sisko. Really, I thought the writing was great. I thought that there wasn't a ton of stuff that happened, but I really liked what they did. I liked the writing structure. I liked the lines. I liked the themes. Another thing that Sisko said that was funny, and the way he delivered it was also well. sometimes something is funny on the page, and other times an actor delivers it in a funny way, and usually the synergy obviously is both. And in this case, it was both. But I think it was more Avery making it funny when she says, when he goes and says, "Hey, did you send that lady to go make love to me?" And she says, "She can sense you are unhappy." And he goes, she was right about that.
Yeah.
He really hung on right. Right about that. So that was very that's kudos to Avery right there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did like the writing. I have to say you're right about that. There was another line where Column says, or O'Brien says, "Yeah, I have a black thumb. They call me Black Thumb. That's why. That's why I married a botanist."
Yeah,
right?
I remember that. That was Keiko's mention. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that line. I also thought it was funny to see Captain Sisko sitting Indian style on top of the bed when he was reading the book. I
didn't notice that.
I didn't catch that. Oh.
Yeah, he's just sitting there on top of that bed, and he's got his legs crossed, folded over. And I was thinking, oh wow, you never see a captain or a commander sitting like that reading a book, looking like how a kid does it almost. But I liked it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that Picard likes to cross his legs when he reads.
Yeah. Okay.
He does. I know Melissa knows that the image I'm thinking of is him on Raisa in his skimpy little outfit, holding his book with his legs crossed. You know?
Don't do your hands like that when you cross your legs. Please, you're doing a disservice to Captain Picard when you do that motion. No, I understand. No, I'm joking with you. But what did Sisko say when he was reading that book? He said, he's like, what's the conclusion? He said, we've become fat, lazy, and dull. And that was like another kind of
lazy and dull.
Yeah.
Well, Sisko was none of those things.
Yeah.
Sisko was absolutely none of those things. And
none of those things.
He was evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. Oh man, so yeah, it was a good episode. I thought it was pretty amazing. And the idea of that box, I think the central thing that was the big takeaway for me was that box, and watching Sisko have to go into that box. That was the thing that really started to get my emotions up. And if I can say one thing that I'll remember about that episode for certain is that the feeling of that. Him being in that box, having to go in the box, it just brought back all this kind of, all these feelings that we talked about.
Sorry, I'm just looking for this.
Oh.
Oh, really? Wow.
Those of you at home, I'm pulling up Picard's infamous picture from Raisa where he's crossing his legs and
there's probably a reason he had to cross his legs. So
I think he had to.
You know that Friends episode where that one guy that looked like Ross put his foot on the table and was wearing shorts and didn't wear underwear?
That sounds like a Friends episode, though, for sure. There are other images of him not crossing his legs. I can pull those up. It's from the same scene.
So maybe they're.
I don't know if am I supposed to say yes?
I mean, we have 2 minutes left, so.
Oh well, I guess I'm not going to stop you then. But this episode, Raisa, that's a Next Generation episode?
Raisa is a planet. It's if you remember, there's a planet where people go on vacation. It's like a vacation planet. Vanessa Williams was in an episode on Raisa of Deep Space Nine, one of the later ones. Really good one. That's when we find out that Dax's spots go all the way down. Actually, now that I think about it, it wasn't a good episode, but it was really interesting because you see people in their different things and.
Yeah.
And Julian is being horny. What else is new? And
So this is him on that same vacation planet.
Yes, it is a pleasure planet. So. Yeah.
Raisa.
Oh, Raisa.
Raisa, the pleasure planet.
That is rising. Okay. All right, Captain Picard.
So that's
I think
Cirroc is frozen. I just pulled up another picture. I mean, luckily it cuts off the bottom and top for it to fit here. The image actually goes much lower.
He's wearing shorts though, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Shorts. Imagine
Max,
Charles Barkley in 1990 shorts. Okay, that's what we're.
Yeah.
But this was the 80s, right?
It was either late 80s or early 90s. Yeah.
The little shorts.
Yeah.
But wasn't Max in that episode?
Right. You are right. Good call.
He played
Max
a
was a Ferengi.
different Ferengi.
Very good.
Yeah.
You're right.
I was
Absolutely.
like, Max.
Wow. Look at the knowledge here. Okay.
Yeah.
You're
Wow.
impressing me with your trivia over here. Wow.
Yeah.
This girl's brain is so big, she got to butter her sides to walk through a door.
All right. I guess.
Oh, you.
Is this thing on? Hey,
somebody turn it off.
turn this guy. Take his mic away. So we do have to run. Time's up. I'm so sorry to, no more dumb jokes.
You left us on Raisa.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a country song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. No, God.
No. You left us on Raisa. Anyway, Ferengi junkyards was another thing that we didn't touch on, but I was mentioned a little trivioid, I guess. They tear stuff apart. So everybody at home, stay tuned for the free-for-all. It's our 50th episode, and it's going to be awesome. Thanks very much. And special thanks to Immo, Radka, Rex Wood, Dennis Koch, Commander Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Cat R. King. Stay tuned, and always remember the 7th rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the 7th rule. This is the free-for-all. We are joined by Cat R. King, Homer Frizzell, Rex A. Wood, Heather Jordan, and Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, or Seagull, I think it is, right? We also have Malissa Longo, Cirroc Lofton. I'm Ryan T. Husk. And we have a couple questions today, so let's just get right into it. Number one, Heather Jordan has a very important Star Trek-related question for us.
Oh, wow.
I finally wanted to go first for like once.
I know. Well, it's not technically Star Trek related, but it's actually something that you posted earlier, Kat, that I read from another thing, but it was an article that was people don't all think with, not everyone has an internal monologue. And I found this interesting because I do. And I thought it would be a great question on, do you think with an internal monologue? And that means simply that you form full sentences when you're thinking about something. Apparently, some people see images or words instead of full sentences when they're thinking. So I just thought that would be a little trivia thing that might be interesting.
That's fun. Let's start with you, Kat.
I was going to ask you about your scantily clad card backdrop, but actually, it was like Heather's question. It might be.
After this question, we'll go into backdrops because I think a lot of people have some really cool ones, especially
Captain's Holiday.
Yeah. So what do you say, Kat? Inner monologue, or do you just see like pictures and stuff?
Is it wrong if I say it's both? I definitely have an internal monologue with ADHD. It is constantly going. I wish I could stop it. I wonder what that must be like. I do see things in the pictures and concept maps, but I'm very visual in general, so I have one. How about you,
Heather?
Well, yes, I have an internal monologue. I do think I frequently have conversations with myself. It's not crazy.
That's a dialogue.
Normal.
By the way.
Yes, I do understand what Kat's saying about like seeing images and stuff too, because I can picture things if I'm working through something. But I do think full thought sentences, like and oftentimes like. One interesting thing was a message that they put in the article, which was somebody said that they asked, when you have a conversation with yourself, do you think the sentences? And then one person responded, no. If I have a conversation with myself, I have to say it out loud.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's like the main difference between internal monologue and external monologue is the people who have them can have conversations in their head, thinking things through, not conversations. But people who don't have to say things verbally to think, have a thought process.
Yeah. And like 80% of us don't know that the other one like exists. That was like
that was a big thing. It was like
obvious.
neither one knows.
I clearly didn't know about it till now. I'm one of those people. I'm a statistic. But I'm already a statistic for so many other things, so why not? I thought that would be really fun, and I could include myself in this. So yeah, that's why I posted that article. It's really
good one. Smart. I like it.
Brian?
What about you, Rex A. Wood? Do you have an inner monologue? And if so, is it just always about Star Trek or other stuff?
I mean, I actually do think about something else. I mean, I do have work. And I kind of have, I guess, put things together that when I'm having to talk to one of my employees, I kind of, think in my mind how I'm going to put that together before I do it. And then the other problem is that I do the same thing. I talk out loud. Mm-hmm. So, my wife is constantly yelling at me about talking out loud. She'll be in the room and I'm talking out loud. She goes, "Are you talking to me?" I say, "Nope, I'm talking to myself." Or the dog. Then there's the conversations with the dog too.
Yeah.
I think everyone has conversations.
I mean, she goes, "Do you really think he understands what you're saying?" I said, "He absolutely does. Look at his expression. Look on his face." He's confused. Why are you talking to me? I'm the dog. What can I do? But no, yeah, I actually try to think things through and things kind of come into sentences like that. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a funny thing I saw, and I think anybody that's ever owned a dog would agree. It was like, it showed like a dog's calendar, and every single, I don't remember who posted it, every single space in the calendar said, "Best day of my life, best day of my life, best day of my life," like through the whole 31 days of the calendar. Anyway, I thought that was cute. What about you, Homer Frizzell?
Wait, first, let's comment on Homer's t-shirt.
Okay.
It looks like it's a Sisko Kid original.
That's Anne-Marie there. Yeah.
Homer and Cirroc are both matching. This is Cirroc's sister that designs these. We'll put the link.
There it is. There it is.
The link in
There it is.
in the information box.
Sorry. I have limited range. Yeah, so this shirt, and I'll just add a little bit to what's going to be in the comments. It's called the Sisko Kid. And if you Google Sisko Kid t-shirt, you'll find it.
Oh, wow.
It's the Abyssinian kiosk. Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely. Homer's the man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thinking of the song, and I cannot stop.
That is awesome.
As far as internal, external monologue, I think I'm mainly an internal guy. It's mainly having a conversation. Well, it's not really a conversation I'm having with myself, though. It's kind of working things out, and maybe there's somebody else in there, so maybe I need to go see somebody about that. And then the other thing I do when no one else is around, at least I hope not, is I will swear occasionally, and I'll let loose. That's the external side of things, which is a nice release.
Okay.
Restrain yourself.
Yeah. I'm good now.
Release.
Thanks.
Doctor, what do you think about Homer's releases?
I mean, I want to see it. I'd love to see Homer letting loose.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah, I'll be in Vegas.
I'll see you.
Oh, will we all be in Vegas? I think so, right?
Well, we'll all be in Vegas, right, Heather? Right?
Right, Heather?
Right.
Stow away with Anne-Marie. She'll just stow away with Anne-Marie. It's fine.
I'll be there.
Okay,
Rex is the person I'm most questioning. Are you going to be there?
Oh, right.
I'm going to try. It just depends on.
I want to.
Well, Yoda would have to say
I heard a solid yes.
I do.
Rex, so
Heather and I have talked about putting the caravan together.
You should.
Yeah, fun.
It out on the East Coast, do it like a fundraiser for the Kidney Foundation, and get everybody all together on the East Coast and start across the United States to Star Trek Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
They're going to be leaving around the 1st of...
Maybe these people that can't afford to go or at least travel out there, we could actually put something together and go together on things and kind of move out that way. We've talked a little bit about doing that. We thought that would be kind of a neat little thing to do. So you never know. You never know.
Looking forward to it. So, Doctor, what about your answer to your inner monologue?
I have to like say everything, and it's been really hard not talking about your captain's holiday background for like 2 minutes because I love Bosch so much. So I definitely say everything. I have no inner monologue.
Okay. Melissa?
I definitely have an inner monologue, but I also, when I can't work out what's in my head internally, then I verbalize.
Right.
And I see pictures a lot, but I internalize pretty much everything. So, yeah, definitely have an internal monologue.
Cirroc, we're coming to you now with your awesome shirt too.
Oh yeah, I have an internal monologue that gives me advice on things, tries to tell me what the right thing to do is most of the time.
And the wrong thing sometimes.
Yeah, and the wrong thing
sometimes.
I have to sometimes tell it to shut up. Stop telling me to do that. But yeah, shout out to Homer. I got my own Sisko kit on today. I got the
nice.
color.
Nice.
I love that.
I love the color.
Yeah.
It's like a plum.
It's the Chateau Picard.
Yeah, it's Chateau Picard color.
Exactly.
name that.
2368, I think so.
Exactly. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I have too much going. I don't even know what's going on in there. I have a monologue. I have a riot. I don't think I have too many pictures though. I think it's just a whole bunch of. It's like the universe is
tabs open at the same time.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like the universe is throwing up in my head at all times, but it doesn't smell.
Good. That's good.
I also want to talk about Homer's background and Rex's background. Check out Homer real quick. Look at this. I'm pinning it so they could see.
Oh, okay.
It's Jake and Nog
So
pointing
cute.
out this fresh cheese stuff.
So yeah, it's Quark.
Well, what is Quark?
Yeah. Well, Quark is.
I know who Quark is. What is Quark?
Okay, because I know you were on Deep Space Nine. Got it. So Quark is. I got this from Hawthorne Valley, which is a local place at the farmers market here in Inwood, which is the top of Manhattan. And I saw it, and I was like, Quark, this is great. And I said, what is Quark? So that's your question. And I asked them. Yeah. And they didn't really have a super great answer for me. And in the end, they distilled it to, it's like sour cream, but with less fat. Yeah. So Armin would probably be pleased to hear that.
He's very
the less fat. And those of you listening in that can't see, it's like it looks like a container of cottage cheese, but it's got a cow on it with the letters Q-U-A-R-K, Quark, and he also has action figures of Jake and Nog looking at it. So it's a
super action figures. Yeah. Nice. And I asked, what's the best way to have it? And I said, would you just put it on eggs, scrambled eggs? And he said, no, what I would do is
just a whole cow. Sorry.
I would have toasted butter, and then I have eggs on top, and then the Quark. I was like,
and then put it directly in the garbage.
I did not read that later.
Hey now, Ryan, well, I don't know. If you're not into dairy, then yes, it's probably into the garbage for you.
Yeah, no,
I've had it, and it's pretty tasty.
Cool. For the record, that's the most action that those action figures have seen.
Yeah, you can't tell from this picture, but Jake is actually, he's on his knees in this, and it took a lot to get him to do that and stand up. So he's actually bracing himself against the Quark so he doesn't fall over.
You know what's the most amazing thing is that Homer pre-planned all of that.
Yeah.
Set it up. Took a picture, uploaded said picture to his computer, and then uploaded it to Zoom.
Absolutely correct.
Wait, but also took the jump joystick out of Jake's hand.
With Harry Potter.
Yeah, the jump. I should do it with the jump joystick next time. But the thing is, that stick is green, so I don't know if it would
Best
show up.
accessory ever.
Very nice move, Homer.
Look at Rex's background too.
Yes,
well played. Well played, Homer.
Thank you.
Episode special.
Rex.
I see some. I see some Nog.
Star Trek anything right
Rex
now.
has the 50th episode tribute.
He's got. Oh,
That's
Rex.
amazing.
Yeah.
Rex is ahead of the game. He's got the 50th episode.
Yep. Okay, Rex, fine.
I said
I'll stand down.
No, I think yours is wonderful. You're way more. But,
So
That is
Rex,
awesome.
Rex has 50th episode over the Deep Space Nine banner and the 7th Rule banner. Looks really good. He's got Nog added in there.
And there, yeah, I got Aaron and both of them right down there in the corner.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Who's pushing stuff up? But yeah, absolutely. 50th episode. So.
Good work,
50th
guys.
episode. Yeah.
So Anne Marie has our second question to get through very quickly. So go ahead, take it away, Anne Marie.
Okay, let me preface this by saying that I know that Picard Day comes in like June or May or something, but I think it's like I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the galaxy day, which can come multiple times a year. So what did you guys do to celebrate Picard Day on January 23rd?
Heather?
What will we do?
I was thinking on January 23rd. I need to check my calendar for that. I cannot honestly remember January 23rd.
That's okay. What about you, Melissa? Did you watch Star Trek Picard on Picard?
Well, you guys kind of went to like special.
I didn't.
Because it's Picard.
Picard Day is January 23rd? Or?
Well, that was the first day.
Yeah, the first episode. I watched Picard. I did do that.
Oh, okay. There we are.
Yeah.
What about you, Kat? Did you watch Picard?
Wait. Sorry. What was the question again?
Well, you guys kind of went to see it like a week before.
Okay. So January 23rd, I was trying to quarantine myself away from everyone else for the coronavirus, I think.
Oh, wow.
Around there. So I didn't do much.
Well, you guys went to the premiere a week before, so that counts too.
We sure.
If I had my choice, it would be like a lovely evening with a bottle of Chateau Picard, some crudité.
What about you, Homer?
That was going to be a real wine, because I need that now.
Oh, yeah, it is now.
Oh, yes. So January 23rd, I was in Jacksonville, Florida, and not where I would want to be to watch the show, because it's either on my phone or it's on the computer that I'm using here now. But I did download it, and so I watched it on the flight back, and I saw it like super small, and I was like, okay, this is good. And then I watched it with Melissa, and I had some of the Chateau Picard. I went crazy and I got a bottle. Actually, I got 2 bottles. One is gone, but one is still around. And maybe there'll be a photo op with Jake and Nog and a Chateau Picard bottle in the future. I don't know.
Wow.
Oh my
and
God.
I felt, and I don't want to be spoiling what Anne-Marie might say here, but I felt a lot of FOMO. Actually, no, I was MO, because there was this event that was going on in Times Square, and I just couldn't be there for it. Yeah. Because I was in the air.
Yeah, we missed you.
Shout out to the rocking chairs at Jacksonville Airport.
Yeah, they are awesome.
So
I know exactly. Yep, I can picture them now.
What about you, Rex?
Well, as you know, I've not watched it yet.
Oh, that's right. But tell us why. For a good reason.
Blasphemy! How could you?
You're not going to call into the show for that, then.
I've got it. Yeah, there you go. We've got a huge viewing party coming up Saturday with a bunch of us meeting together. And we decided that we would not watch it. We'll be able to watch 2 episodes at least, so we'll be able to watch both of them. But we decided none of us would watch it. So we kind of have taken CBS and Amazon's off our phone right now. I know there's some readers within the group. Somebody said something the other day about, how come the Romulan has an English accent? Okay, so
Like you gave yourself away.
Somebody who cheated there. But other than that, no, not watched it yet. I've been staying away from social media as much as I can.
Nice.
Haven't even watched any of the things you guys have done because I want to get through it. And then from there on, I'll but I figured I'd be able to do it for that. So yeah.
So not only are your Photoshop skills top notch, but you also have a lot of restraint.
Yeah, I do.
Seriously.
Wow. Self-control.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Cirroc, what did you do January 23rd? I know that you watched Picard. Did you do anything else?
I don't remember what I do from every day to the next.
Yeah.
See, I'm
I
not the
barely
only one.
remember what happened yesterday. So I have a 24-hour memory gap.
He's like a fish.
Like a fish. Like
My
Nemo.
Can you do a fish impression, Cirroc?
I thought I've been doing it this whole time and nobody said anything. So thanks a lot.
Do you wake up every morning confused at where you are, Cirroc?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Same.
Yes, I do.
Anne-Marie, did you give us your answer already? Or, I mean, you kind of...
I mean, I had like the best, most epic Picard day ever.
Jeez.
Oh, whoa. I guess
boy.
this question was for you then.
Yeah,
she just wanted to ask it to herself.
Okay, well, first I went and got Subway cards that have like Picard and the dog,
Oh, that's
which
right.
was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
even
you
like,
get me any.
somebody asked me for one in Quebec, so I like sent it as my random act of kindness. And then they tried to like give me something back, so I was like, "Well, just become a subscriber of Seventh Rule." So they screenshotted me a picture of
Nice.
becoming it.
Wow.
Then,
Good work.
so my parents visit like once a year, and it just happened that they came and I found out there was a pop-up for like Star Trek Picard in Times Square, like 2 blocks from my house. So I went over there with my parents. We were like first in line, and I was wearing my Captain Nog Forever sweatshirt. So we were the first ones to get pictures, and they were originators of like the Star Trek bedtime in 1987. So it was really special that we got to be the first one, because that was like the highlight of every day.
What was in the pop-up?
It was just like a big Star Trek Delta symbol, and then like it said Picard, and then if you social media'd about it after they took your picture, then you could get posters, which I have one for Homer.
I think it's
Thank you.
CBS
I love
All
that
Access
social
on the
media is
bottom.
a verb now. You can like social media things now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna social media it.
And Emery, I think your photo was shared on another group.
Oh, it was shared all over the place. I
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like paparazzi because like 20 classes were going, but I don't know like where it got shared to. But one of them was like
Oh, wow.
Italy Star Trek news. So in Italian it says like something 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 Della Seventh Rule blah 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 Cirroc Lofton Aron Eisenberg.
Yeah.
And then if you translated it says P.S. Envy level Dahar Master, which is like
Yeah,
a new
that was
favorite thing
cool.
to say.
Oh, wow.
So that was
And that's
super
cool because
special.
that Italian Star Trek club
Oh,
has
and they
like
shared it like
14
all over the
fans.
place. Yeah, they shared it to like all these other Italian Star Trek groups with like a blurb about Seventh Rule, which was cool.
Nice. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Good work.
Thank you.
And then, wait, and then there was another viewing
There's
party.
more.
That was just by 11 a.m.
Wait, yeah, actually it was. It was like by 10:30 a.m. And then, I mean, this is cheating a little because it was Saturday, but Lambda Quadrant has viewing parties every Saturday at Industry Bar at 6 o'clock on 57th between 8th and 9th.
For
And I
those
got
that
to
don't
meet-
know, tell us what Lambda is.
It's like an LGBTQ awareness, and actually the first every party raises money for different charities. So the first one was for Chase Masterson's Pop Culture Hero Coalition, which obviously we all love, and they raised $250. And there was trivia, and I won, and I got a Horgon keychain, which is like Picard gets in Captain's Holiday.
Wow, nice tie.
We know all about that.
And, yeah, there was
Is
a
it
really
called
good-
Hordon?
Horgon. It's
Horbigon.
basically a statue. It's a statue, and it means DTF.
Because I've been Hordon before. So.
Oh, it
Cirroc,
does.
did you catch that? It
Yes.
means DTF.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they wear or they hold.
On Raisa.
Which on Raisa, which we just talked about, which means that they're looking to hump and stuff.
So now I have a keychain of it. And,
So DT is not don't touch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, and
I'll
there
leave
was
it
an
alone.
amazing
Uh-huh.
Sub Rosa reenactment for all of you Sub Rosa fans. But
Who's that?
But anyway, yeah.
It's an episode of Next Generation that's pretty
Oh
bad.
no, I know. I'm just wondering who the
Yeah.
fan.
Oh,
You have to see it to believe it.
Wow.
pretty bad. Cirroc,
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Wasn't me.
Okay. But it was a super fun party, and I got to meet a vet IRL, like another No J Consortium member
She's
who's
great, yeah.
awesome, and we had so much fun. So
Mhm.
shout
We
out
love
to
a
that
vet.
party.
Wow.
So that was
wow.
my big Picard week, basically.
Guys, we
Wow.
got to run, but let's close it out with 5-second answers that Cirroc brought up. If you were a fish, what kind of fish would you be? Starting with, I don't know, I guess Heather.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. How many fish? I'm just going to go with beta fish because it's the only thing I can think of right now.
Beta.
Beta fish.
What about you, Kat?
Blue tank, call me Dory.
Cute.
Oh.
Melissa?
Clown.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good
Finding
one.
Nemo. Good one. What about you, Homer?
I'm going to go with an orca because it seems like they have fun and no one's going to pick on them too much.
Well thought out.
Not
And
technically.
Anne-Marie?
Livingston.
That's a great answer.
Ready room.
The fish called
Livingston?
Yes,
Wanda?
Livingston. That's
the
right.
fish who lives in Picard's ready room.
Oh, that's cool. Good knowledge. Wow.
Wow.
Rex Wood, can you compete with that?
I think I would be a shark.
There it is.
All right. I think that's a mammal. I don't know.
A great white.
No, dolphins are mammals.
Because nobody
Okay.
would.
No,
Maybe-
whales are mammals.
Maybe the orca.
Oh wait,
Both
did I choose
dolphins are.
wrongly? Is
Dorcas,
orca a
yeah.
mammal?
Yeah, orca is definitely
Did I choose wrongly?
the orca is technically a dolphin.
Oh,
Right.
So mammal.
Dolphins are
Okay.
a mammal.
Clearly, this
Good
is not a
knowledge.
question for me. All right.
What about you, Cirroc? What's
I
your
got all
fish?
fancy with your fish.
I'll be a dolphin. Sure. Why not?
But that's
Oh, no.
not a fish.
No, sorry. Sorry.
Can I
I
change mine
can't-
to
oh,
angel
they're not-
Yes.
I can't
Not
pick
really
dolphin?
a fish.
You can have two
Oh.
answers.
Dolphins are not fish.
All right, I'm going to give
Fine,
two
Right.
answers too then.
A goldfish.
Number one is a barracuda, like the
Barracuda.
song by whoever that was, Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And the other one is matfish. Matfish. Wasn't that, Cirroc, help me out here, maybe 20 years ago, there was the New York Knicks, the 12th man off the bench was Matt Fish. And if he would come out onto the floor, everybody would cheer because it meant that like they were up by like 25 points and the game was completely
Yeah, that, I don't know that
Deep
12th
cut.
guy on the
Sorry that I
Yeah.
killed everything. Just
swordfish. I
There you
switched it up.
go.
Yeah. Koi.
The only fish with a sword in the
Koi
front.
is a good one.
Don't anyway say.
Koi is good. Yeah.
Yeah, hang out, get bigger, depending on how big the pond is. Perfect.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
And on that note, Heather Jordan, Anne-Marie Siegel, Rex A. Wood, Commander Homer Frizzell, Kat R. King, associate producer, Malissa Longo, Cirroc Lofton. I'm Ryan T. Husk. Also, thanks to
So
Emma
good to
Radka,
see Anne Marie too. Unbelievable. Can actually see her.
Eve England, Dennis Koch, Russ Haslund. See you later, guys. Always remember the seventh rule.